Hi everyone, it's Andrea Yard. Great to see you all, and thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel. So much has been going on for the past few weeks, and wherever our spirits are right now, my hope is for, of course, authentic change, dialogue, understanding, and just things to get better for us here in this nation. Our nation has been grappling with the ugly stain of racism from God knows how long. Racism that has led to so much issues, the issues that we're facing today, and the disconnect that we're facing today is because of it. And it's God's plan. I can't speak of what God's plan is, but what I can say is that, you created us all equal and no one is above the other. So I think the time to listen and understand and really start to process in our mind what's happening and have that appropriate dialogue, which I've been privileged to join some conversations, whether it be by Zoom, of course, Facebook Live, been, watching some lives, being exposed to things that I didn't even know about. So if I don't know, I can imagine who else wouldn't know, right? But I'm not to say this to say I don't know everything. I'm just saying this to say that there's a presumption that um, as Black people, we know it all our history. Well, we know by what we've been taught. We don't know of great things that have been said over the years that speaking volumes now. And when I say great things, it's great because it's informative. It provides knowledge and feedback. So I'm not going to talk about that today. This is the most I'm going to say about that. Because it is still open, it's still happening, and I rather engage in dialogue where there's communication back and forth rather than just be one side and just my thoughts. So with that said, why I am here, of course, as I mentioned to you on my preview, this is week 2 here in New York, phase 2 of the reopening, right? Of our stores, excuse me, and businesses in New York. Now, of course, not all businesses are open, and of course, New York State, if you go on the website, which I will provide at the end of this video, is the fact that so much has changed, and while feedback and opinions about the actual phase 2 reopenings are too new to realize, I thought, to provide some ways to contribute to relieving some of the potential stressors of the process, more so towards the businesses and employees, and of course, including customers, so in part. And some things that I've noticed that we are having a lack of these days is patience. And patience is because of all the stressors that's happening. We're still with COVID. I mean, although the numbers, we flattened the curve, we've, as our governor said, we flattened the curve, we bent the curve, still there can be up spikes. And of course, there's predictors of what's can happen at the end of the year. But I also want to address those who do not feel that it's necessary to wear a mask. And if you're working in an environment, part of the process is requirements, I should say, is that you are required to wear a mask. But if you're socially too, if you are amongst a group of people that do not live in your home, if you have them even outside your home, the virus spreads, of course, how it spreads through droplets. The virus has been known to spread through close contact. And of course, the obvious is why we had to shut down a lot of things for our protection, because the numbers are staggering. And I'm not going to go into numbers because you hear it all the time. So, although we are in a place where right now there's an ease, let's be wise in how we move. Let us practice the the guidelines that the CDC has um, presented to us, and it's for our safety. And it doesn't take away freedom. Being free is actually being responsible. True freedom, because you can be free to be irresponsible. And irresponsibility, we see the outcomes of that. So I really want to impart to you, wear your mask outside. People can hear you without the mask. You're not in a field. You're in close enough proximity to be heard. If you decide to engage in activities where you're having like 10 people or less, because these things are happening, we're not stopping them. We have to live. It's getting hot out. Staying indoors, if it's not a reality, a lot of people are not required, or it's not, something we're bound to, then let's be wise. Wear the mask. Just take some discipline. It's not going to kill you. It's there to protect us all. And let's be considerate of that. And so getting back to, the phase 2, what I would encourage everyone, particularly on everyone, not even particularly, this is for businesses, customers, employees. Patience, courtesy, and understanding from everyone is really needed. We're in a vulnerable place still. We're in a place of uncertainty. We're in a place of trying to figure out things, and it's going to keep going. It's just going to move, and we're not going to stop. We're trying to figure things out because developments change, and we have to be flexible to change. Because if we don't bend, of course we will break. And so, it's very important that we realize that change is going to be a process. And with that change, having patience and having courtesy and having understanding, even when we do, get upset and have things, but if we practice patience and have some courtesy and understanding, we'd be surprised how much more we can accomplish, and how much of our fears actually can subside because we get a little bit more time to think. Now, for our businesses, right? For our employees, planning ahead, of course, is essential. We're already open, but still, of course, we're gonna hear different changes coming from our local leaders, and it's for our protection and really just to make sure that New York is as strong as it's supposed to be. So my employees, planning ahead for work schedules. Now, for me, it was like, get night before, get your clothes out, get your, accessories nearby if you wear accessories, um, whatever you could do the night before to prevent loss of time the next days. There's studies out there that show that, I'm not going to go into that, but just wanted to mention that. But now with what's happening with COVID, we have to now think about remembering walking with our masks, having sanitizer. I have my own hand sanitizer, right? Wearing my mask, how to also protect your mask, because if you notice something, you're touching your mask, what do you think you're doing? The reason why you're washing your hands for the reason to wash off the germs. So pack them back, then wash your hands before you pack your mask. And I would take a couple of masks if it's possible. Take a Ziploc bag. Sandwich bag is fine. I think that's the size that's fit most appropriate if it's possible. Stick a few in your, in your bag, if you have that. Guys, I know most of you don't work with bags, but how many masks do you have when you're working throughout the day? What is your work shift, right? What is the prescribed amount of time to wear a mask? So these are things that we have to think about, mask or face coverings. And then also one of the guidelines that are required, if you're working in an office environment, they are really suggesting that you use the proper mask, not the cloth mask or a homemade mask, but those masks that are designed to really try to minimize the infection of someone, right? So think about that. And then two, we get a nerve, it's like also planning helps with, oh my gosh, you're in a situation where should I touch it's like, because we become so mechanical, right? In our movements, because our mind is thinking like a million miles a minute, like, oh yeah, what am I supposed to do first? So it's kind of hard. So, if you can, put the mask in Ziploc bags before you touch the mask. Wash if you're not able to wash your hands, put some hand sanitizer on your hands first. Rub it, of course, for the prescribed amount of time on the container. And make sure you're doing that, because again, when you're touching the mask and you're putting it on, most likely you're going to touch the inside of the mask, and that's, you've been touching everything else, and then you're going to put that face covering on. So that's something to think about as well. From a manager perspective, and this is something that businesses should be doing, have pre-checks to make sure that everyone is prepared and has a goal for their shift, right? Include an opportunity to mention what they may have missed, what you may have missed the night before from the night before or the previous shift. So I remember working where I've worked. There was, what I've noticed is those institutions that had this practice implemented into their organization, into the culture, it really set the tone, because now it's setting the tone, what's required, what needs to be done, what needs to be tackled. And focus on those big pictures and any feedback that you're getting, because although it's too new to get feedback in general, still you can still get feedback from the day or the experience, because a customer may make a suggestion or something may not be working that can be fixable. Now, I don't know how your stores are laid out or how your business is laid out, but of course, I hope it is laid out to the requirements that is, necessary, right? And that is suggested or required by New York State. And when you have these pre-shift huddles, it sets the tone. It gets everyone's mind ready as to what we have to accomplish for the day. And then after, not only do you do that the morning before, but debrief. That is a big debrief. Talk at the end of the shift. Discuss what worked and what did not work. Very important. Talk about it. And it'll be an authentic conversation. It doesn't have to be something long and drawn out. Just talk about the facts. Deal with the things that are important that you set for the goal for that day. But also any encumbrances that you've come across that prevented you from accomplishing that goal. Or feedback, or you notice something that, in our minds when we set this up, it sounded good in theory, but in practice, it didn't work. So maybe some small minor adjustments can make a big difference. And it also helps for preparedness for down the road. I volunteer with a great group. And something is clipboards. We didn't think about it, but if we debrief, it's remembering, hey, let's get those clipboards together, because we have to take information, right? And without the clipboards, we have nothing to lean on, and we're standing up with our wonderful guests. We're not sitting down at the desk, so we're taking information, right? Having a clipboard. So debriefing, talking about what worked or what didn't work, or something that a client said, right? Because our clients are who we are here to serve. Our clients, our customers, our guests. We're there for a reason, right? We're here to serve. So taking into what they have said, and just taking it in, listening to understand, and let's take it back and debrief at the end of the shift, or even a feeling, how you felt, like you were working throughout to try to accomplish goal, and you felt a certain way. Be open to honest dialogue. And I speak to this managers and employees. Managers, allow your employees to have honest dialogue with you. There's a lot of conversation of, of course, in the industry of stating that, you just don't do, you just don't have wait to when you have your annual review, right? And it shouldn't even be annual anymore. We know there's another conversation about that, but daily, talk about it, talk about things, and so that we can make, needed change. But allow that opportunity to have that dialogue, allow that employee to give you their thoughts, right? Adapt a way of doing so, because if you don't, you're blocking creativity and psychological pathways to prepare for the future. You stay stuck. And if you're holding on to this way, it prohibits that opportunity. You stay stuck where you are. But if you allow your employees to have that conversation with you, and you're everyone's disposition. I'm not going to say, sit here and talk like with wearing rose-colored glasses, but we know all our personalities and everything else. listen and hear and understand. Give time for that. Time is different now. We are not in a place where it was before, where it's full staff, it's half staff, 50% staff. But in that is still stressful because you're in a new environment. And of course, we still have COVID, and we still have fear and this everything that's happening with relations and our protests, right? These are the things that we have to think about, and also our clients as well, because and us and our clients, because we're all going through it. We might have lost a loved one, we might be experiencing anxiety still, there's this thing. So hopefully your organization, if it's a organization, has pathways to that people can speak to about those things. If not, the state has provided some numbers as well. Now, employees, try to be proactive, have a proactive mindset. Remember, it's your workplace too. You're not there just, and thank goodness you have a job. Thank God you have a job. A lot of people do not have work, they do not have income coming in. So it's not to take it for granted to say you should just take anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. It is have a mind of gratitude. But this is your place. You come in there. If you notice, you're at work before COVID, right? You were with your work family more than your personal home family, who you consider your family outside of work. And so when you're at the job, be proactive. Just don't wait. Communicate if you're going to do something, though. Just don't take it upon yourself just to do something and act unless your manager knows about it, right? But have those conversations. Say, hey, I saw this, or you see something. Just don't wait for someone to make a decision for you. Be proactive. You've been there long enough, or you're starting to notice a rhythm, because rhythms can happen even with this newness, that things are what they are in a sense, but you have this opportunity really to shine and not just freeze and just wait for somebody to tell you something. If you see something where you can make a difference, please do that, and let the manager know as well. Hey, this is what I did, or I'm noticing this, or I can take care of that. All right, so take initiative. And what it is to take initiative to, learn your guidelines. This is the opportunity. There's guidelines there that are there to protect you and the organization as well. So follow a guideline set for safety and for all. That's for everyone. That goes without saying, but I noticed that sometimes there happens to be a lax in that. So I think that we should really think about that. Very important. And again, employers, make room for questions and brainstorming. Don't prohibit the opportunity for your employees to grow. You have nothing to lose, right? I want to mention that you may learn something which everyone may reap the benefits. And so this is pretty much it. Just a couple of tips. I mean, again, it's too new to say where we are. Very important. What I want to say, if your business now requires to set appointments, right? Make sure your clients know. Go back into your client book. Tell them that you're open, but not only that, let them know what time the appointments are available. If you have a booking program that can schedule appointments for you, or however you schedule appointments, follow up with your customers. Let them know. And if they don't feel safe to come back in at this time, it is what it is. But, have opportunities to help them. If they don't feel safe coming in to your business, maybe have telecommunication or video chats. Or some other things that could help with that. So these are my tips today. I hope they're helpful. Please do let me know what you think in your comments. Also like and also subscribe. Of course, you see the bell there. Hit the subscription button, because anytime you get a notification from me, it's to say that I have a new video. All right, take care for now. Please be safe, and let's love each other. We're all God's children. And of course, Black lives do matter. And I thank those for finally understanding what that means. All lives matter. We understand, and we're not saying that. But when when we have been, there's so much to say about that. But anyway, have a great day. And thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe.